My name's Trevor. Welcome to Full Burn. We're back with part two we're at Al's house. This is Al Tadros with Redwire Space. Last minute impromptu Al. I texted him, 15 minutes ago, and I said, hey, I'm in town. You want to go for a ride? And he's like, yes, right now. And we're going to talk Orbital Data Centers. So,
oh, yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Thanks for picking me up.
Yeah, man.
This is great.
I think we're just going to make it a rule. Anytime I'm in the area with a fun car, I'm just going to text you.
All right. Well, we're going to a fun place. Rosati's got history, a little bit of attitude, and windy roads.
Yeah.
Everything you need.
Yeah, I was telling Al, I was filming earlier today with Johnny from You on Space, and he's like, let's go for a ride. So we're going to head up in the mountains again, check out a little different part of the mountain. And you're flying to DC tonight?
Going to DC tonight, red eye, because that's my commitment to the industry. Yeah.
You going to a conference?
No, we have a board meeting this week. It's that, It's a board meeting for fourth quarter, full year, fun time.
And I'm interrupting your nap time before the flight because you're taking a red eye.
You're not supposed to share that with them. I was going to, take a nap before the red eye.
So ODCs, for the untrained here, Orbital Data Centers, seem to be quite the hype these days. Yeah. Elon's announced 1 million satellite filing with the FCC. 1 million satellites.
Who did?
Elon.
Elon? Okay.
Yeah.
Along with SpaceX, everybody's got 1 million satellites.
Yeah, well, I think this is a SpaceX Starlink, kind of thing. You got Philip over StarCloud running his H100s in space. Yeah. And you've got Reorbit just made an announcement with Google. Just for the record, it's February 9th, 2026. So whenever this airs, this will obviously be dated. But tell me what's going on.
Yeah, well, things are going so fast. If it's a week later, it'll seem like, oh, yeah, that's old news.
Exactly.
It's gone crazy. Everybody in the data center world is looking at how to scale, hyperscale, and they've started looking at space as being the place to scale in. And there's a lot of exciting stuff. It's great to have attention on the space industry.
So why do we have all this attention?
Yeah, well, I think the challenges seen are kind of the amount of land required, the amount of power required, and thermal dissipation, all kind of things on top of climate concerns and just infrastructure build out concerns, energy price concerns, and
the NIMBY process. You've got neighborhoods and even states and countries trying to outlaw these things.
Yeah. And then there's just a general concern of AI in some communities. So but you get away from a lot of that in space. Of course, there are other hurdles, and I think for those of us who have been in the space industry and launched a lot of things, there's always hurdles and challenges, and that's part of the deal. But I think the big thing is the anticipation and promise of super heavy lift, and
meaning Starship, or one of the new Glens. Starship and New Glenn, 7-meter fairings, 9-meter fairings, 50 tons to LEO. And those kind of things are game changers. I would even say launch competition, right?
Just having competition
Stoke,
is good. Yep.
Rocket Lab, Firefly, like all of these folks are starting to come into the mid launch or heavy launch.
Even Relativity and Eric Schmidt.
What's up there? Do you got any inside track on Relativity?
I don't have any inside track, but to your point, I mean, the competition and the benefits of having your own launch capacity kind of amplify the whole story for orbital data centers. So, and of course, the big punctuation mark last week from XAI merging with SpaceX.
Right.
And, overall, I think that is, proof of commitment by, Elon in going in this direction. And, the quick solutions and architectures of mega constellations, or I don't know what they're going to call million satellite constellations, but those are definitely exciting and I think very feasible at whatever 20, 30 kilowatts a pop. So yeah, what's expanding our horizons next? You got to ask, because that's already in plans and works.
See, you think these satellites? Some people are calling them nodes.
Yeah.
But you mentioned 20 or 30 kilowatts. Do you think that'll be the size that these things start building out, or do you think they'll be higher power, or do you have a guess on where the power might land?
I can easily see them starting at 20 or 30 kilowatts, and we put up solar arrays on the space station, let's say 100 kilowatts, 120 kilowatts. The PPE, 70 kilowatts on one launch. So I think that's 70 to 100 kilowatts is very feasible now. And so scaling it and going into mass production is probably more of a challenge. And of course, that's what SpaceX has done really well at, is scaling. But these are engineering challenges. There's no physics that stops us from doing this level of constellation build out. And each one is a node that combined, can provide hundreds of megawatts or gigawatts of GPU power. So that's the promise.
2026 prediction. We will see a handful, if not more than that, of startups addressing radiators.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because that's the other problem. It's power on the solar side, which you guys have built some of the biggest ever. Yeah. And then it's also the deployable radiators.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of people, say, well, there's a lot of thermal, and yes, that's part of the solutions we have to design. When we put up 60 kilowatt satellite or 70 kilowatt satellite, we have to radiate the waste heat. So there are technical solutions for that right now, and you can scale it. There are some simple solutions, just thermal straps to big, surfaces, radiating surfaces. And then there's more, exquisite solutions with passive and active heat pumps and radiator surfaces.
Similar to what's on the ISS. Because you've got
ISS.
You have deployable radiators on the ISS.
I worked on a lot of geosatellites, and they used, matrix heat pipes. Those are very feasible in constellations of satellites. So I think we have a lot of really great technologies on the power and thermal side, on the controls and deployments of large surface areas. And so I think that's exciting. And quite frankly, the people that I've talked to who are from the data center side of things haven't really appreciated what's available in the space side.
Can you elaborate on that a little more? What have they not appreciated, or what have they not thought about?
Well, let's say a rack of GPUs is 60 kilowatts, 100 kilowatts. They perceive that as being way, way more, because most of what they hear are small sats or 100 watt, 1,000 watt satellites. So they don't fully appreciate that there are technical solutions for larger 100 kilowatt
power systems.
Power systems. Yes, they're large. Yes, they're expensive, but building out data centers is a super expensive activity, whether you're doing it on Earth or in space, and that isn't so much a discriminator. So I think that's one of the things that they, and the other is on the thermal side. And the real attractive feature here is I get a sense that you're going to look for a fast lane here.
Oh, it's 35. I can't go too fast.
The attractive thing is once you deploy it, once you get it in orbit and get it operational, the cost of the energy and thermal is nil. It's free. It's solar power coming in and thermal energy going out. And for those who love, thermal designs, they have the benefit of T to the fourth. So the difference in temperature between, the radiator and cold space, 2 degree Kelvin, 2.5 degree Kelvin is a huge, heat sink, and that's great. So if you can point the solar rays to the sun and the radiator to cold space, you've got a great little pump for GPUs. So
in your conversations with, I call them TDCs, terrestrial data centers, because we got to, clarify. maybe like, are there any high level things that the TDCs, terrestrial data center people, were like, oh, this actually could be really valuable. We're excited about this piece of it.
I think, a lot of the GPUs, well, there are a number of factors. I mean, people talk about the radiation effect and so forth. I think that the thing that I think is most compelling is that they don't have to do a whole lot from right where they are now. And so whether it's water cooled to radiators or powering at a certain voltage, or all those things are feasible. So that's been we haven't run into any kind of physics roadblocks. So that's been the most notable thing that we've seen. But I mean, there's still a lot to do. It's not scaling is going to be the hardest part. If you want a gigawatt of GPU power up there, that starts to press kind of logistics chain and supply chain and all that.
Yeah, I've seen some estimates of like total solar power in space today is maybe around 200 megawatts.
Probably closer to 400, 500 megawatts. But yes, I think Starlink alone is 230 megawatts on its own.
In aggregate.
In aggregate.
I would think that one of the big selling points would be just the iteration loop of getting new chips up and operational, because you got new chips coming out every 18 months, but you do not have new data centers coming out every 18 months.
Yeah. And people ask, well, how are you going to, fix or upgrade or so forth?
There we go.
Too fun, also too distracting.
That's what happens here on Full Burn.
So it's all about that. So maintenance. I mean, there's yield on the ground, for terrestrial data centers as well. There's failures and replacements and so forth. And same thing in space. There'll be constellations where you're constantly upgrading and depleting and deorbiting. Initially a lot of people were talking about putting them in sun sync orbit so you have continuous sunlight. Well, if you have 1 million satellites and 75% of them are in sunlight, then you can take the hit for eclipse and not have full sunlight all the time.
Do you think the Earth will start to look like a miniature Saturn with many rings of one ring of satellites flying around it?
Maybe that's how Saturn got to be there. We'll find out on that. But quite frankly, there's a lot of space in space, and to emphasize, there are billions of cars on the roads, but if you go to space and look back on the Earth, you can't really see them.
Right. Where do you see the sort of lowest hanging fruit use cases? Like, where do you think it's the easiest place to apply it? Is it like space to space native things that need large compute? Or do you think it'll be like a hyperscaler AI lab that really just has to, get into that new domain?
I think it's the hyperscalers. There will be use cases for like habitats and, large focal plane instruments, large data generating payloads. But, really the driver here is the hyperscalers. It's, serving the needs here on Earth. So it's both the training as well as the inference.
Right.
It's, inference without guilt. Right now there's more talk about, the amount of energy required for like, one set of, series of questions. Well, that'll all kind of go away as you put it in space, and cost of energy goes down, effects on the planet goes down. So
you're saying like it's a guiltless use.
Yeah.
Because once you've paid for it, it's there, right? Like the energy and the power is free.
That's right. It's free, and it's not affecting, anything on Earth.
Right.
And it's being maintained. So it's depleted satellites can be deorbited.
And I think there's sort of a combination from a cost perspective. I've seen a lot of argument like, it'll never be cost competitive with terrestrial. I'm personally not sure that it has to be cost competitive with terrestrial.
No, it doesn't. I mean, we see I mean, for example, electric vehicles came out and they weren't cost effective. The government subsidized it. Dollars per mile were really high, and with higher production and more variety, and then solar panels and battery technologies, it's getting better and better. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, but I think it's also shooting for the future of launch costs dropping. Well, that
was the other component I was going to is launch costs.
I mean, I think that's going to be the tip over point when you get to $500, definitely $200 or $100 a kilogram. You're going to see much more ambitious large single satellites, as well as large constellations doing this.
But I think when you couple the lowering of launch costs with the increasing cost of energy, specifically for the hyperscalers, because Trump is, our president's making them create their own power grid. So they're having to pay for that power generation versus pulling from an existing resource. So their internal costs for power are going to go up.
Right.
So that delta between space and terrestrial is going to get closer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It isn't just an incremental to the power grid. This is, some metrics are looking at the doubling of the total energy generated, power generated here on Earth. So it's real infrastructure change. So you can't compare it to just the dollars per kilowatt that exists now. It's a real change. So it's smart thinking. How would you do it in the future? And people are looking at building new nuclear power plants and other power sources to keep energy costs down and be able to continue to scale.
The bear case I've heard for this is the chips are going to get better and more efficient, and you just won't need as much power. Well, any argument to that?
The infinite bear cases of why would you need whatever more than 9600 baud? Why would you need more than this many megahertz on a processor? I mean, it's insatiable demand and competitive. I was looking at an electric bike recently, and I noticed that the new model was rated at a higher torque, and I asked, why are you going to a higher torque? I mean, for most riders, this is more than enough. He said, well, our competition went to a higher torque, so we have to because people want it. So that's human nature.
As a species, our thirst for compute and energy and power has never gone down.
No,
right? When new technology brings to light, we end up using more of it. So I think that's a thesis that's going to continue to drive. Oh, hello. Alpine Inn. What is this place, Al?
Yeah, this has got a little history to it. It's now a massive beer garden.
Well, part two in a minute. All right, we're back with part two.
Hey.
Let me get over the speed bump without bottoming out again. I was telling Johnny, I've rented quite a few exotic cars over the past year.
Yeah.
Best bang for the buck, this Lotus Emira. I think it is.
Excellent.
I've driven lots of Lambos and Ferraris and McLarens, and this one, best bang for the buck.
Well, you could do a review of Turo cars after all this.
Well, some of them are Turo, and some of them are like local exotic rental companies. But probably a third are Turo, maybe more. So shout out to Turo.
Nice job.
Yeah. So why did you text me ODCs? Or you're very excited about this?
You know what? It's been in the news and everybody's talking about them, and we do a very high power, solar arrays and stuff, and that's just been the topic of discussion. I think we talked about them last time.
We touched on it.
Also, it's just become a. Like I said, it's become a broader discussion, not just the space community. It's like, Google,
right?
Sundar is talking about them, and Sam Altman's talking about it.
You had TerraWave. We hadn't talked about that. That just got announced.
That's right.
I actually met one of the folks who that was there. She was part of the founding team 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat.
The founding team of TerraWave.
TerraWave, the idea of TerraWave.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, well, not surprisingly, as super heavy lift comes online, we should expect, use cases where you need to put, hundreds of tons into orbit.
Well, there are rumors of, Sam Altman calling lots of space companies about, maybe acquiring launch and SAT and all the things. So who knows if that'll actually be true or not.
Well, if you connect the dots of what AI will enable across all industries to, who owns and operates the leading, training, inference, compute, storage centers, that is the ultimate goal now, is to deploy as quickly as possible large-scale data centers.
Well, if you believe Elon's tweet about, almost all future, if not all future data centers will be built in space. And every company in every industry at some point will be utilizing AI at some level, then AI is the largest and last biggest industry that will ever be built. Would you agree with that, or do you think that's a big statement?
No, well, that is connecting the dots. And even if only 10% of that is achieved or realistic, that's still a
massive deal for space.
Massive deal for space. Massive. Yeah. I mean, I was relaying it to someone. The closest thing I can think of is what the geo market was for the telecom industry as broadcast and was being rolled out. I mean, the geo market was only at the most 3 to 4% of the global telecom market, just 3 or 4%. But it was billions of dollars going into space industry, which is, noticeable. It's
right.
It doesn't have to be, $1 trillion in space.
I mean, 4% of the annual build out spent right now would be something like $400 billion annually.
That's right.
I mean, that's like half the U.S. defense budget.
It's
almost
real money for the space industry. So, I don't, you can never, I mean, it's great to have big vision, and it's great to, shoot at a target out there. I wouldn't worry whether it's, all the data centers or 1% of data centers. I think that we're going to start seeing it deployed, and they'll find the use cases in the niche that really, captures.
There we go.
Just warming it up.
Yeah, just warming it up. What do you think is going to be the hardest problem today to make compute in space successful?
I suspect,
or maybe a couple of problems.
Yeah, I suspect the integration, total integration challenge. The optical crosslinks, the formation flying. These are solvable problems. These are things that maybe aren't regularly done
today.
Constellations today. So these are things that have to be not only deployed and cost effectively, but scaled to thousands, hundreds of thousands of nodes in space.
Do you think similar to like the LED lighting industry, which actually a little bit come from, because I ran an LED lighting company to start up Atomic 6 actually.
Okay.
And in the electric vehicle market, do you think we'll see subsidies in the ODC market where governments want to help push this compute out into space? Do you think we'll see subsidies for this?
I think if let me just say it bluntly, if China starts competing like that, you'll see subsidies. I think that's the real question, is who's going to own AI in the future. And I think that regardless of how we do it, no one wants to risk coming in second.
To your point, it's an AI supremacy race.
It is.
And if China decides to put the heavy hand on and tip the scale, the U.S. will necessarily be forced to do the same.
And as space often is, it becomes a national security issue. It's not just a nicety or cheaper energy.
What committees, like government committees or bodies, would have most interest in that? They have there's like a 1,000 committees that they're all on. But
it goes to regulation. I mean, you have to worry about, and this happens in space anyway, but you have to worry about too much regulation squeezes out, industry to international locations, and even ITAR limits what you can how you can collaborate, and even if it doesn't limit it, sets some processes to do it. So, I think there's always the ITU, FCC. There's definitely going to be cybersecurity concerns, information assurance, all those typical elements. But it's, where AI regulation and concerns maybe space hasn't had that we'll need to catch up.
Do you think security from a sovereignty perspective is easier or harder in space?
Well,
or it's just a different set of problems?
Yeah. Well, it already exists, right? I mean, we have this issue of even communications and sovereign, system, or Earth imaging.
But lasers help versus radar, right? So that's a little harder to hack into than an RF signal.
Yeah. But who gets access? And after you use the GPU, is that accessed by someone else? And is there any residual information there? That, there's all these questions about segregating and isolating, and that will precipitate. And I think Jensen Huang just said recently that nations shouldn't do it just because it's then their own, but they can train it on their set of data, their history, their culture, their preferences. So it's also control of the models that you generate.
I think I may butcher the country, but the Emirates, Saudis, they're launching their own AI to that point, using their own language and training on their own for their culture and their purposes.
Right.
You'll see more of that.
Yeah. So there's, I guess, different reasons. Some is national security, but some is just the models that you want to generate, and the preference that you have. Yeah, that's all exciting, and it'll be interesting to see. But just over the last 3 months, it's gone from kind of a niche topic to my kids are talking about it now.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think orbital data centers will be the tipping point for Kessler syndrome?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You think we'll be able to manage like space travel management?
The one thing, I mean, we should definitely think smartly about what we put up and how we keep things in order and so forth. But the one thing people should be very aware of is that even without humans launching things into space is filled with micrometeorites. And by that, I mean, even James Webb, which went away from Earth, far away from all our LEO satellites, was impacted by substantial micrometeorites. Like within the first 6 months, it had 2 large impacts. So people should just be aware that has been part of the space industry since the beginning. Is surviving space requires you to plan for impacts on the satellite, and usually it's on the large surfaces, which are the solar arrays and the thermal radiators.
I don't know if you call it the T-shirt I'm wearing today, but it's my Space Armor T-shirt.
Space Armor.
Yeah, nice. We made the announcement. We're flying with Portal Space Systems in October on Transporter 18. Nice. So
nice. Yeah. So as far as surviving impacts, I think that isn't, or Kessler syndrome. I think that isn't the biggest challenge. It goes along with a lot of other things that we have to manage, and we do. The space industry is great. We welcome everybody. Come on in. The water's great. So if we have to build large constellations, we manage it. We operate them. We do orbit them, and we think about retiring. How we retire satellites. Even in geostationary orbit, there's a norm of behavior where you retire satellites in a certain way.
So I come from commercial real estate background as a broker. We can take nod to terrestrial data centers as precedent, when will we see brokers for space data centers? Right? When are you going to start seeing brokers for that?
You know, the idea of brokers is already, I'm going to try to remember the name. I think it was in England somewhere. The London Satellite Exchange, I think it was called. And as your satellite was retiring, they would buy it and they would actually lease out residual capacity.
Oh, interesting.
And make money off of it. I think that was a London Satellite Exchange. So, yeah, I think, look, space, as you were saying, these are going to be nodes that augment and enhance the terrestrial data centers.
Yeah.
And it will just be part of the cloud, just like when we use, you know, our cell phones or smartphones. We don't know which, you know, fiber optic or over the air or through satellites that it goes over, but and we don't really care. What we want is connectivity, and I think that's going to be the same for data centers.
Well said, Al.